entering the Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog, FedEx St. Jude Championship, DraftKings picks, final bets, the weather, and an encouragement to go and sub to the newsletter that is completely free. Down in the description, you smash the like and you give me your favorite 6K guy on DraftKings this week to pair up with Scotty Scheffler, probably at the top, because you're going to need some 6K guys, presumably, if you pay up all the way for Scotty this week. Tambo is out. Sia Nejad is in. Sia, the last two times you've been on the show, you've given us a first-round leader winner. So that's more winners than I've given out all year.
Well, let's see if we can keep the luck rolling. Should we just kick things off there, Pat?
Yeah, you know what? It's a different format today. Let's jump into it. Give me your first-round leaders.
Well, that's what we did last time. It wasn't too long ago where it was Victor Perez. Now, granted, that was a chop, but it was 110-1 chop. So we'll take it. All right, so these odds are a little lesser because we've got, 69 players in this field, and I'm taking some of the top guys. I'm going to go with Tommy Fleetwood at 30-1. I'm going to go with Victor Hovland at 35-1, and I'm going to go with Sam Burns at 40-1. If you want to sprinkle a moderate long shot, Chris Kirk at 60-1.
Okay, so we're aligned there. I've played two first-round leader bets, and I'll have the entire card Wednesday evening. I'm going to be live at the course, so maybe I'll talk. I'm going to get a chipping lesson from Michael Kim, I think. But talk to some players, see what's going on out there. I mean, using my intuition of just watching it on TV isn't working. Maybe I can be there live and try to figure something out. But so far, I have played Denny McCarthy at 45-1, and I played Chris Kirk at 60-1.
I love it. I can see Denny doing it. I'm just going for. I mean, I'll be honest. My outrights are. I am playing the without market, but my outrights and my first round leaders are pretty much the same thing. I'm not playing Chris Kirk, but the other three, those are going to be three of my outrights. Again, I'm kind of flirting with the without market when it comes to that as well, though.
We did find, and Jeff and I spoke about this on Monday, the without market now has started to actually evolve for the first time ever, where there are some cases where you could find, like, I don't know, if you wanted, because I want to bet JJ Spawn this week. So JJ Spawn is 55-1 right now. But sometimes you would click the without Scotty, or hell, even like the without Scotty or without Xander market, and then all of a sudden he'd just be 50-1. You'd be like, okay, well, that makes far more sense.
Yeah.
But now he's dropped to like 30. So now I'm giving up an actual 25 points of value, which at that point just isn't worth it for me.
Yeah, I noticed that actually with Hovland yesterday over on DraftKings. I saw the without market. So first of all, I think Hovland was 35 or 40-1, but then with that, the without market of Scotty, he was 30. But then there's that without Scotty, Xander, Justin Thomas, and Fleetwood market, and he went from 30 to 28. And I thought, like, if I'm just going to drop 2 points and get those other three guys in the mix, I'm going to go ahead and take that. But that quickly, like as soon as I saw it, it went away down to 25, which I still think is okay. But yeah, those without markets, listen, I've been playing them all year, and it's really been benefiting me. It's mostly in the without Scotty market as opposed to without extra players, but Scotty's too good, period.
It is worth seeing each of the markets and see how the odds actually adjust. Because listen, there's one that I saw this week it's without Scotty. Then there's without Scotty and Xander. Then there's without Scotty, Xander, and Tommy. Not that I'd be going out of my way to say, hey, hopefully Tommy Fleetwood doesn't win this week. I need to take whoever's second place to Tommy. But sometimes the odds just simply don't change between the markets. So if you can just eliminate someone else,
Right.
Why wouldn't you?
That's absolutely right, and it just kind of goes to show that sometimes the sports books they can get caught flat-footed really in any market. It doesn't happen a lot, but a lot of times you just kind of keep looking and you find some value for sure.
So my outrights this week, I have 3 of them so far, and one of them is actually going to be at Coolbet. I cashed out a Xander from last evening. They posted a better number at Coolbet when they released the PME boost. You can scan the screen right now, get yourself in at Coolbet with a deposit bonus. There's also a free trip to Cabot if you just go to the description, click on that link. You can find everything on there, including my boost. I'm getting Xander boosted up to either 18, 19, or 20. There's also 20s lingering around right now. It opened at like 14 and it went up rather starkly. So Xander at 20-1 is my first play. I have Ludwig at 28-1 and I have JJ Spawn at 55-1. Those are the 3 that I'm rolling with as of right now, but I am looking to add someone else, presumably in that 30 to 50 range. What are you seeing? What did you bet so far?
So I have 3 out. It's funny you mentioned JJ Spawn because I looked at him like before I even did like most of my research. I thought JJ Spawn was going to be maybe one of my longer shot plays. I kind of talked myself out of it, and then a show I did yesterday, I might have talked myself back into it. But so here I'm trying this. I don't bet Tommy Fleetwood, but I'm betting him. But I'm betting him in the without Scotty Scheffler market. So I've got Tommy Fleetwood at 18-1 without Scotty Scheffler. And here's what I did with Victor Hovland and Sam Burns, who are my other 2 outrights. And probably these are going to be my only 3 outrights because they're kind of in the shorter range as it is. The other 2 are Victor Hovland and Sam Burns. And what I'm doing here with Victor Hovland and Sam Burns, I'm actually playing those 2 in the without Scotty, Fleetwood, Xander, and Justin Thomas market. And what I'm hoping to do is obviously cash one of these. And by the way, I don't usually put a ton in I put a little less than a full unit for me on my outright. So I've got like 0.9 units on those 3 guys. And what I'm hoping to do, ideally, is hit Tommy. Scotty Scheffler wins. Tommy Fleetwood comes in second, so I win that bet. And then I potentially scoop if I can get Victor Hovland or Sam Burns to finish third, or maybe fourth if it's behind one of those other 4 that are sort of taken out. I could potentially win both of those bets in 16x as opposed to 8x, but I've laid down just less than a unit on those 3. Again, in without market for Tommy Fleetwood, without Scotty, but the other 2 without the big 4. I hesitate to use the word big 4, but I don't know how else to say it. And again, I'm trying to 8x my money here, but I think I've got a shot at 16x.
Have you looked into just playing those in like a top 5 round robin market?
I haven't.
To see, I don't know if the odds would be better, but they might be.
Yeah, I haven't. And that's the thing. I don't like round robin is not something I've like typically engaged in. And when I look at the top 5 odds, typically just isolating the top 5 odds, I'm never quite as intrigued. And also the books I bet, I don't have each way. Like I'm with the American books, like it's FanDuel, it's DraftKings, it's MGM. So like I'm typically just kind of going to the outright market or, standard finishing position stuff, but not top 5s usually.
I think that the only 2 books, and I might be wrong, in the States that have the each way markets are Bet Rivers and Bet365 has it. That's usually where I play if I'm going to play any of the each way markets.
I think, I've definitely heard Bet365 has it. And that's just, again, that's probably sort of the next book where I start to play. But, again, with having the 3 books that I've already used, I'm not super incentivized to get another one. But the each way betting does seem like, and you do each way all the time, right, Pat?
Yeah, saved my ass last week. Kirk and Koiven both ended up with their each way. So it was like, okay, it was a partial chop, but still, it's nice not having to go back to the window and hit deposit again for once.
Well, that's the thing, because I had Kirk outright as well, and I didn't get anything back for that. So, the each way market could have benefited a lot of my picks, frankly.
If you were, let's say we would do that this week, we're going to throw a big bomb on someone and use an each way play on them to get either the top 5 or the top 8, probably top 5 in this market with only 69 players in the field at Southwind. Would it be Kirk again? Because I was giving Glover another look. Like Glover had his one bad week. Now everyone's like off of him, but he's won here before and he had been playing great golf until last week.
Yeah, I don't think it would be Glover for me. I guess it depends on how far low you want to go. Like, I think a guy like Wyndham Clark is an interesting guy to take a chance on, but maybe his odds aren't quite deep enough for you to kind of consider in this department. I mean, I think Chris Kirk is probably that guy. I've been on him quite a bit. I'm going down the board. You mentioned JJ Spawn. I mean, there are guys in the 6K range. I mean, I'm not going to Grillo, but Kurt Kitayama is at least moderately interesting if he just has another, great set of ball striking rounds. But it's hard to justify going kind of deeper than, let's say, JJ Spawn or Wyndham Clark to me.
Did you think about betting Berger at all? Because he's still Berger and Connors are right on the tip of my tongue, but maybe they're a top 5 play instead.
I'm afraid of Berger. I understand the ball striking, and I understand that he might like these greens. The short game has just been really bad. He's just not shown any signs of a guy that's going to be in contention on a Sunday afternoon. If he finally finds himself in that spot, I think he'll cower to whoever's up there with him, whether it's Scotty or Xander or whoever. So Berger's a no for me. And frankly, I think he's going to be probably pretty popular in DFS, and he's definitely a no for me there too, if that's going to be the case.
Well, it's going to be interesting once we start going through some of the builds. Like, obviously, people want to play Scotty. How do you play Scotty, and which guys fall into line? It's basically Spawn and Berger are going to be a part of that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the builds, because I've built a lot of these out already. So I think Scotty and somebody of the three that are 8,000, 8,100, and 8,200, which I believe is Goddard, Griffin, and Cam Young. I think a lot of builds are also going to start there. And so what's that going to leave you? I've done the calculation there. I mean, not that it's hard, but that leaves you 7,250 if you take one of those three, or 7,200, depending on which of those three you take. I think a lot of builds are going to start there, especially since there's guys, I think 6,300, like Jacob Bridgman and above, between 6,300 and 6,600. I think there's a lot of guys that are going to be acceptable knowing you're getting 4 rounds. So that brings you, right back up to that 7,500, 7,600 range. And then all of a sudden you're kind of in a normal category for your last 3. So I do think that Griffin, Goddard, Cam Young range with Scotty is going to be pretty popular.
The one guy I was looking at, I'm on the rabbit hole right now, betsportsgolf.com/Mayo, if you want to get full access to the site. And hey, I haven't talked to you since we merged the sites.
Congratulations, Pat.
Thank you very much. I'm very ecstatic about this, that we can combine 2 big powerhouse databases, one with modern technology and one that I founded 8 years ago that was dealing with slightly less modern technology. And now we get to have the best of both worlds as we combine the sites during the fall season. So for next year, it's going to be absolutely firing. And I'm working on something else very secretly for BetSports Golf and the rabbit hole now too, that might be very intriguing to some people. But I'm just looking at one guy who's up here right now. He had a pretty piss poor Wyndham Championship, but you've seen him pop in. Usually it's like par 70s where he does well. And this is a par 70. Both of his wins last year came at par 70s. It's Bobby Mack, who just falls into the middle of all those guys that you just mentioned. I don't think anyone's playing him this week. And I keep giving him a hard look. Then I went back and I watched all the highlights from the past 3 years of each of the rounds at Southwind. A lot of Bobby Mack.
Yeah, and T7 here last year. And honestly, I'm looking at guys that have the full tee to green game. Like, I'm definitely looking at that macro stat this week. I understand we're looking at approach. We want accuracy off the tee and all of that. But I think that the complete game is going to be really important here. I think there's going to be a lot of sort of chipping and around the green play and scrambling that we're not really accounting for as much as maybe we need to. And I'm a guy that usually doesn't account for that too much because I think there's a lot of variance in around the green play. But with that said, I think guys who have the complete game, certainly guys that have been successful here before, including just last year, I think guys like that make a lot of sense. I think Bobby Mack is one of those guys that people ignored right when the pricing came out, which was, a day ago. But I think as we get to lock, I think people will start to come around to, oh, Bobby Mack's not getting a ton of attention. Like, I should probably click his name a couple of times too.
Yeah, I like Chris Kirk as much as the next guy, and I like Spawn, but Bobby Mack's the better player. Let me bring up the rabbit hole for a second here. I just wanted to show you something because this wasn't available for me when I did the research show earlier, and this is going to be a feature that we're going to have. We're already making improvements over here. If you go to the course data page, Ron has put this stuff in. So obviously you can get all of your filters of like how this course plays. And one thing really stuck out to me, and there's more detail on this stuff at the bottom, like green and regulation is, pretty tough to hit. Scrambling, very average. Scrambling in the short grass, very, very easy. Putting, very easy. So it's not tee to green I'm worried about. That's why I went with Ludwig. Obviously, you went with Victor, 2 guys who kind of suck around the greens. But like when we take a look at around the greens, it's just relative. So you have your tour average, then you have your Southwind average, and like what is the difference between the average course and this course? We're going to have this available for all the metrics and each of the courses. This is just the format that we have it in right now. Like bunkers, about even. Then you get down to like sand save percentage. It's 39% easier at Southwind than any other course. Scrambling from the short grass, 11% easier. You have the average proximity feet to the hole. It's 42% easier. Scrambling from the rough, 24% easier. So I'm not really worried about scrambling or short game this week. Now, these are incredibly small greens. So guys who just simply have a better short game are probably going to end up doing pretty well. But I just thought that was very interesting to think about of when we're trying to parse through some of the players that could do well, that I'm really leaning off the tee in approach, and even overweighting off the tee a little bit more, because if you can, that's why I went with Ludwig. Like, who is the longest, straightest player out there? It's probably Ludwig most weeks, unless he gets a bit wayward. And then it's kind of Scotty. It's the same reason that I came back to Spawn, that his accuracy plus distance is a good combo. Keegan would actually be another one for me, but I just don't know where he's at right now.
As far as the around the green play, I mean, I think all of those stats are obviously accurate, but I also think, because
They are.
you
I
mentioned,
can confirm they are accurate.
no, they certainly are. But I guess the point I want to make here is that we also have new greens. Okay, so I think there's going to be like bouncier greens, if you will. I think there's going to be a couple more around the green shots than we anticipate. So while it is easier, and while I agree with that, I think because there's going to be more shots from that area, from the around the green, the scrambling, like off the green, I just feel like it needs to be accounted for a little bit more. So like, while I agree that it's easier here to scramble, I also think because we're going to get a couple more shots than we anticipate there, you want to be comfortable, because we don't want, like, listen, I like Victor Hovland, but I'm not super confident in Victor Hovland having, over the course of 4 rounds, five more scrambles or whatever, it's sand saves or what have you, than I anticipate. So I feel like I'm going to invest a little bit more in that because of the small greens, because they are new greens. But I hear you on that. I mean, I do think it's a ball striker's course for sure.
Well, more so because the green regulation percentage here was already lower than it was in the PGA Tour average. So if it does play a bit more difficult, there could be extra pressure. Or the other way that you have to think about it, like, this is a hard course because there's blow-ups, but it's not like the winning scores aren't -17, -15 at a par 70. Like, you have to be able to make birdies.
Yeah.
So when I'm thinking about trying to pick a winner, maybe this differs from DraftKings a little bit. The shots are going to be saved off the tee from not going into the water and just taking a big number. Whereas the putting, I mean, I guess we don't know with the new greens how receptive they're going to be. But if it's driving and it's irons, at least I know my guys are in position to make birdies. And if you're not making birdies out, like, there's 60, Xander shot a 63 in the final round last year. I think Kirk opened with a 62 a year ago to be the first round leader. Like, there's low scores that are out there. It's just, can you tread enough water off the tee that you don't blow yourself up?
Yeah, I agree. 100% agree. Let me ask you this, because I have noticed on the leaderboard, particularly over the last 3 years, there's plenty of guys who aren't necessarily the most accurate off the tee. Are you anticipating a lot of like clubbing down here? Because that's what I'm anticipating, which lends itself to me not looking quite as closely to just the sheer accuracy metrics off the tee.
Well, it's a big driver heavy course. Like, this is why I wanted to do the merger. Let me show you this right here. Boom. So let's pull this up and let's go to off the tee for this particular course. Driver usage, 76.3% versus the tour average of 68%. And last year, guys hit driver 81% of the time off the tee.
Okay. Fair enough.
So, but can you manage at that point? Like, because listen, even the non-accurate players, someone like Justin Thomas, who's won here, for example, although he was far more accurate the year that he ended up winning, but he's going to try to miss in the right spots. Like, if there's water on the left, he's going to miss into the right rough. Unfortunately, his iron game is so good, although it severely decreases your proximity in even green regulation rate playing from the rough. It's very difficult, green regulations from the rough here. Like, you really do want to be on the fairway, even though they are very thin fairways, that at least his iron game is good enough to overcome it, because he is pretty long off the tee. So you kind of have to factor that in. That's why when I went through everything on the research show, it's like, what's a big driver heavy course? What are hard fairways to hit? Who does well in those circumstances? And that's how I ended up on Ludwig.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's a lot. I would equate it a little bit to Torrey Pines, but with a bit more luck in keeping your ball dry.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree.
But we've seen, what's a weird, like, maybe it's just because there's so much water around here, but like PGA National kind of makes some sense here. Like, we've seen Straka do pretty well here. And like that type of player, like Russell Henley, I think could be pretty good. Harris English, guys that aren't too long, but great iron players, especially from like 175 to 225, that they can get the ball on the green from there, but they're going to be relatively safe off the tee. Can you combine that with a hot putter? It's not that I would look for like PGA Nationals, like a pure comp course, but the types of players that do well there versus kind of the crappier fields could potentially do really well here, except for Jake Knapp, who plays really well there, plays really well at driver heavy courses, but for whatever reason, just kind of like sucks in the Southeast.
Yeah, and I think I looked at Jake Knapp's history last year. I mean, he was a complete disaster last year, pretty much everywhere.
I feel like he was kind of a complete disaster, like at this point last year in general.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
And he's been much better. Like even over the past few weeks, he would just come third at the 3M. Did he miss the cut at the Wyndham? I believe that he did.
Yeah, he missed the cut last week.
Yeah, not a great course for him. You want him at, like, he's one of the guys like at driver heavy courses. You should usually lean into him. So when I was trying to answer the question of who is the 6K guy that I would go to, I believe he's in the 6Ks. Like he would be a guy I would try to take a chance on and just hope that I'm right. No, he's 7,500.
He's 7,500. Yeah,
no thanks on that one. The other one was like Potgieter, who rated out really well in like the specific stats that I was looking at. But like the more I think about it, the more like this course definitely does not suit him. But for whatever reason, the stats tell me it does.
I mean, listen, if he doesn't find water, he's going to be in decent shape. There's a lot of guys like that sort of fit that mold. Like Goddard to a lesser extent, obviously. I think Goddard's just cleaned his game up all around, but he's not necessarily the most accurate guy off the tee, although probably lately he has been. But in general, certainly not super accurate off the tee.
Yeah, Min Woo would be another one. Well, Ryan Gerard is very interesting to me here. Obviously, he won a few weeks ago. And Potgieter, when you look at Potgieter's year, it's really strange. He'll go like miscut, T11, second. Miscut. Even like leading up to the win that he had in Detroit. I think he was T6 the week before, then he wins and he hasn't made a cut since. So he's a very streaky player. So if you can get in on him at the right course, although I didn't think the Colonial would be the right course for him when he had the top 10, but here we are, that all of a sudden when you're taking a look at him, you're like, oh, he's like T8 and he was like near the min. So I would take a look at him. I mean, I'm a slut for Kevin Yu, but he's really turned his game around. A lot of draw shots on this course. So Michael Kim would pop into my mind for that. But Gerard was the interesting one. Obviously, the putter is absolutely outrageously bad. Did win the Barracuda, which is always nice. But like we just looked at the numbers. If chipping is easy here and putting is easy here, I mean, his ball striking has been awesome.
Yeah, but how easy is putting for a guy like Ryan Gerard? I mean, again, if you're looking at 15 under, 16 under, that doesn't make it a birdie fest by any means, but I have very little faith in. I think Ryan Gerard, even in DFS, I probably won't end up playing him. Love the ball striking. Totally get where you're coming from. But this whole year, and I've had a really good betting year, not so much DFS, but this entire year, I've tried to basically avoid the guys where I used to say, and we all say this, right? Like, but 2-3 years ago, I'd always be like, well, if you could just find the putter this tournament. I've pretty much just like stamped a lot of those guys, not completely, but out of my player pools, if you will, or my betting pools. And it's served me pretty well. I don't like somebody who just can't putt. And that's part of the reason I like Daniel Berger's putting lately, his around the green play lately. That's part of the reason I'm just not interested there either.
So your best putters, I'm looking at this right now. That's past 6 months. What's a good range? Past 3 months, you think?
Yeah, that's about right. Maybe 2 to 3. Yeah, 3 months is good.
Yeah, let's look at. We have like some 36 for some guys. Let's see. On average, who are the best putters? Harry Hall by a significant margin. Cam Young, Griffin, Jake Knapp, Brian Campbell would be your top 5. Matty Fitz, who pretty good course for Matt Fitz. Denny, Burns, Thomas, Scheffler, Harris English, and JJ Spawn are your leaders. Then Kevin Yu, weirdly enough.
Yeah, I have Fitz pretty good on Bermuda as well. Same with Harry Hall, but that should be no surprise. Burns is sort of on that list. Fleetwood's on that list. I'm talking about good putting like you're talking about, but also like a slight bump for Bermuda. Griffin, Denny, got Bridgman on there. I think Bridgman's an interesting 6,300 play, by the way, which we can get to later. But yeah, I mean, those are people I'm looking at. You know, some of the guys you just mentioned, certainly people I'm looking at.
Ryan Gerard over that period has been the worst putter in the field, losing a clean stroke per round on the greens.
Jesus.
And he has a win in that time.
at the Barracuda, mind you, but
still, a win's a win. Like, why is the Barracuda all that different than whatever the fuck that Wyndham Clark and Kurt Kitayama won the past 2 weeks?
Because I mean, partly because it's
significantly worse.
I mean, Stableford's scoring, I guess that changes the game a little bit when it comes to the. Yeah, but no, you're right. I mean, he took down a tournament. I mean, I remember debating between Ryan Gerard, who was it, and Kevin Roy. So I had like 4 or 5 outrights, most of them in the major long shot. But my one short shot was going to be Kevin Roy or Ryan Gerard. I ended up going with Kevin Roy.
No, so you do back guys who can't putt.
Well, Roy can putt better than Ryan Gerard.
Well, I mean, that's not really a high bar to clear.
It's
Like,
not, but that's why I
putter.
went with. That's why when all things are equal, I went with the guy who's not horrific at putting, not Kyle Stanley with the putter.
Now, in fairness, I mean, Kyle Stanley, 2-time PGA Tour winner. Don't forget about him.
That's true.
Over that range that I'm talking about, Gerard's averaging a stroke gain tee to green and a stroke loss putting, which is hilarious.
That's amazing.
Like exactly even on both accounts. They have the worst putters in the field right now. No surprise. Gerard, Hoagie, EVR, Minwoo, Berger, Vegas, Siwoo, Glover, Lowry, Aaron Rai, and Kurt Kitayama. Another winner on that list.
Yeah. And by the way, Minwoo last year here, I thought it was an interesting stat profile because he had a pretty decent finish. He did so much damage off the tee, which again, I didn't like. I'm not looking at off the tee as much as you are, Pat, but it's certainly he's pretty good evidence that if you're great, because he wasn't very good on approach last year. It was last year when he had the decent finish, I think. He did a lot of his damage off the tee, just kind of pointing that out.
Yeah, he was almost 4 strokes gained off the tee. Yeah, like if you can harness your driver and hit it relatively straight and avoid the danger, like you have a big advantage. It adjusted. It's a much longer course than you would think. I guess is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I've heard that it's described that way as well. I mean, I can't help but agree with that. Yeah.
I wanted to talk about Ryder Cup for a second because I saw Ben Coley make a point on Tuesday that I thought was super sharp. And maybe it's just the discourse that goes into it that a lot of people who are talking about Ryder Cup are Americans. So they're like really really want the Americans to win. They want to microanalyze everything. But the conversation that everyone's having about Morikawa now, like Morikawa and to a lesser extent Cantlay, that like should these guys even be on the team? They have no recent form. Whereas he said the vibes with the European team are so chill. It's like, yeah, Shane Lowry hasn't been good in 8 months and he's on the team.
Yeah, I mean, listen, from just a pure like perspective standpoint, like what do you want to invest in? The guys where you've seen it before from them, specifically at the Ryder Cup, and that have a longer tenure, or the guys who are kind of the up and comers and the new kids on the block that have done it for just long enough where the sample size is something you can believe in. And that's where like the Chris Gotterups or the Ben Griffins come in, who might be on the team anyway. I'm not sure how it's all going to, but Gotterup probably not, right? I don't know about
I think
him.
Gotterup's going to make it. A lot of it depends on, but that's the thing. There's so much recency bias baked into what the Americans are doing. And there seems to be none of that with the European team.
Yeah. I mean, again, maybe we're just giving it, to your point, a little bit more attention, but I think it's a completely fair conversation. I don't think this is a conversation that's like drummed up for the sake of just talking and having something to talk about on social media. Like, I think it is two very competing perspectives, and some of it's kind of old school versus new school, I guess. And, are you in the club or you're not in the club when it comes to like Cantlay and Morikawa? But I do think guys like Ben Griffin and Gotterup and Cam Young, maybe if he has another good tournament this week, which I think is very much on the table, even though his history here isn't very good. Sam Burns, if he has a good week, I think maybe Sam Burns to a lesser degree, but I think some of those guys should at least be in the conversation. And Morikawa, I get a little bit more than Cantlay. Although, listen, I'm going to let you parse through this better than me, but Cantlay to me, I mean, I understand we can look at the stat profile; it's not horrific. Cantlay to me seems very underwhelming, and I understand his history. And, people just think he should be on the Ryder Cup. But if I was going to box anybody out that is a big name, it would probably be Patrick Cantlay.
That's where I would be at too. Like, I think it'd be crazy not to take Morikawa. But
yeah, I like Morikawa enough for me to be like, I think he belongs on the team.
Yeah, me too. And I think that Ben Griffin's on the team already. I think even if Ben Griffin sucks the next 3 weeks, he's probably on the team. I mean, because he's Ben Griffin, you can box him out if other guys play well because he doesn't have that history. But in my mind, he has done enough over the past 12 months that he should be on this team. It's kind of like Harris English. Like Harris English is going to be on the team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Harrison. Yeah. What about, so I was talking with Jeff Feinberg, your friend, my friend too, I guess. He was on my show last week, the Not So Early Edge. And he said at the time, and maybe everybody thinks this, maybe I'm on the outside looking in, but he said Keegan Bradley 100% is going to be on the team. Is that your sentiment as well?
Well, no, I think that this Cam Young thing has really blown that up a little bit. one of the worst case scenarios that the Americans could have is Keegan to be a fringe pick, because unless they win, it's the wrong decision.
Right.
And if I'm Keegan and I know that going in, I'm taking myself. If that makes any sense. Like, hey, I don't want to be the guy who was the captain, didn't take myself, and we lose because Chris Goddard played really poorly when I could have picked myself, and then at least it's in my own hands. Like, I would rather be the one with the club in my hand going down swinging and having that decision fall to me that way as a player, rather than being the captain and being magnanimous, even though I probably should have taken myself. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. It's just that the reverse of that, the pushback he might get if they lose and he picks himself, and a guy like Goddard or Cam Young's not on the team, and you're like, oh man, they probably were a better course fit or
Sure,
playing better.
You have to live with that. How would you rather live with the loss that you didn't pick yourself and you might have been one of the 12 best players and you lose, and then you have to deal with all the heat of not taking yourself and you're a terrible captain, or you pick yourself, you go out and lose. At least it was your choice and you had the club in your hand to do it. I would rather go out that way. I don't know if that's for everyone, but I would want that onus on me, that I could have actually made the difference on the course rather than picking teams.
You're going to get less heat if, in that case, if they lose, for example, you're going to get less heat if you didn't pick yourself. That's how I see it. I think most people, the public at large, would be like, all right, they pick, like, if they lose and Keegan's on the team, they're gonna be like, oh man, well, if captain, didn't pick himself, like maybe we would have had something there. I feel like that's good. There's gonna be more pushback for him in that scenario.
I agree. I think that there's a bit more, there's heat either way if they lose, but I think that there's more heat if he picks himself and plays poorly and they lose. But you do have the out if you're Keegan. If you pick yourself and you lose, but you play well, no one's gonna give you any shit.
Yeah. If you play well in any context, nobody's going to give you heat, period. Do you think this week and maybe next week are sort of the crew? Because Keegan was not impressive at all last week. And I had him, I think, in a couple of DFS lineups. Do you think this week and next week are pretty much determinative of Keegan's experience?
I think it's more of a determination on all of the bottom guys.
Yeah.
That outside of Ben Griffin, weirdly enough, that like I said, I think he's played well enough that I don't want to say completely immune, but I give him like a 90% chance of being on the team right now. And then you have that group of like 6 guys. And as I told Jeff, that if like Ricky or Spieth or Finau somehow win this week, all of a sudden they're back on the team.
Wait, did you say Ricky, Finau, or who? Spieth? You think that's true for Finau? I'm legitimately asking.
Yes. I think that they're like same as like if Cantlay has a top 5, he's automatically on the team. They're so looking to take one of these big names. They just need to see something from them. Like guys that have been there before. Because one good point that Jeff always makes, and why Cantlay probably will still be on the team, is just have a lot of inexperience in Ryder Cups right now with all the new guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. It goes to how much you weigh that. That's kind of like old school versus new school. Like I don't know that I would weigh that quite as much. I wouldn't weigh that as much as how people have performed over the last 3 to 4 months, for example.
I wouldn't either, but I think that's how they're going to pick the team. I think there's a difference between what they should do and what they're gonna do.
I hear you. Yeah,
it's always. It's no different than it's not so much in golf, but like when people play or trying to project out fantasy football players, it's like, well, this guy is so talented, let's project him this way. It's like, yeah, but he doesn't touch the fucking ball. How can you project him for anything when you know he's not going to be on the field?
That's right. That's right.
The coaches have certain trends of what they do. This is not the type of player they like to use. This coach doesn't like to use rookies. It's like, yeah, but this guy's so talented, they'll have to use him. It's like, will he? Is that really what's going to happen? Or will the same thing that happens every year happen?
We're 30 days away, literally, from NFL kickoff, and it reminds me of just the DFS play where you're trying to I don't know, maybe you're stacking your quarterback with a primary receiver, and then you're going to throw in just some wide receiver for what have you. That's like $2,800 or $3,200. It reminds me of that. The guy that is only going to get like 2 targets, but you're just hoping one of those targets is a deep shot that he actually catches. Can't wait for football season.
Oh, man, that's Rashid Shaheed this year. It's my guy.
Shaheed is going to be he's going to be utilized a ton. That team is going to be horrific. Garbage time for Shaheed and Olave if he can keep his, I don't want to say head on straight and just be cavalier about his concussion issue, but if they stay healthy, There's going to be garbage time there. I just don't know who's throwing them the ball. Can I just tell you, I took the Saints under 4.5 wins at plus money. I think they're going to be, they have the third easiest schedule in the NFL. I get it, but they're the mark. I don't care if the worst team has the easiest schedule. Everybody's going to stomp on the Saints.
Well, we'll do a football show together. I actually released one today with Connor Allen and Ryan Noonan, where we went over some player props, mainly on Underdog, but even some different sports books as well. Code Mayo, by the way, at Underdog. Get yourself that deposit bonus. I gave out a 367-1 entry for mainly unders on season-long props. And then we gave it a very reasonable 20-1 on a player prop entry on Underdog. If you want to get in on that and just use code Mayo, use the bonus funds, and boom. It's like playing with free money when you do it. But I also, at CoolBet, I got them to boost this up. I've been hearing so much about the Stafford news that I'm legitimately worried about his back. Not so much like weeks 1 to 4, but if he just takes the wrong hit, he might just be out for a while. So I got them to boost up Rams under 9.5 wins to plus 150. Now, they probably do go over, but it'd probably be like a 55-45 split, I would say. Even if Stafford plays all the games and gets a little bit banged up, but plus 150 for the under of 9.5 seems pretty good to me.
Seems pretty good. I don't think their backup QB situation is very good at all. I think you could also look. Say it again.
It's Jimmy G.
Oh, it's Jimmy G. That's right. That's right. And yeah. So, I mean, actually, that's not terrible. You could look at his Stafford's under to 3,700.5 or 3,750.5 passing yards too.
That's what we ended up doing on Underdog. It's 3,799. So we took the lower on season-long passing yards on that.
Yeah, and you're just hoping he misses, 3 to 4 games, and you're good there for sure.
Or just has to play through injury. Like if he toughs it out with a bad back, that's not going to turn out well.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those teams where the range of outcomes is just so severe because I think they could represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. But if Stafford is not healthy the whole season, they're in big trouble. I don't think Jimmy G is that guy.
Let me ask you this, because I asked this on a few shows. I'm running the poll on X right now. If people are watching this, they can go click over there and vote in the poll. I'm running a Survivor League this year. I'm trying to raise the funds to guarantee $1 million in that prize pool. See it? Does that interest you?
I'll be in it regardless. I'm in.
So the question is, how much should it cost per entry to get in? Is it better that we do it like the one and done, do $250 per entry with a max like 5 or something like that, and you have to play against 4,400 people? Or do you do $50 per entry where someone could buy like 75 entries, but there's also 22,000 people in the pool?
So let me ask.
Smaller one. I'm always team smaller pool.
Well, the team smaller makes a lot of sense. And if 250 is too rich for people, so sometimes I'll just jump in with 1 or 2 other people and be like, hey, let's split this. And we're all contributing, $100 or so. I think a clean, so you have the numbers, and I don't, but I think obviously 100 is always kind of a sweet spot for people, but that is going to lend itself to way too many entries. I think 200 is a pretty clean number. Where 250, you're like you're starting to do the math. You're like, well, that's a $250,000, whatever.
But it's $15 a week for the NFL season if you get to the end.
Well, that's the thing. In Survivor, you typically, people are. That's the nature of that particular game is that you're not playing for the whole year. But I understand what you're saying, and obviously the pool is that it's lesser entries. I think 200 to me would be like the sweet spot because I could go in with one other person and be like, I'll Venmo you 100, you sign up for it. And it's like, it just feels cleaner to I have $100 donation or a $200 one. I say donation. 250 is fine. To me, if you were to be like, hey, what's a good number? I can't make it $50.
I think it has to be like the way the people that I'm talking to. I think it has to be one of the two, 250
or
I see. 50.
Oh,
which one would you pick?
I would pick the 250.
Me too.
And I would encourage people that think it's too rich to be like, have a friend jump in with you.
Yeah, I think that's an astonishingly good idea.
Oh,
it's the same thing for the one and done. I mean, the one and done's 250, and that fills no problem every year.
Well, that's really the answer then, because if those things are filling as fast as they are, it's not like it's going to fill for golf and it's not going to fill for NFL with your audience.
Yeah, and if you're running a fantasy football league this year or a big Survivor pool, I encourage everyone to go and use LeagueSafe.com to store your money for the year. It's completely transparent. I think they take a lot of money in over a year. Quick payouts, and just no one person has to deal with the money. It's all on a site that gets paid out at the end of the year with whoever sets it up. That's how they allocate it. So it's not like you're giving your buddy Johnny, $2,000 to put in a savings account for 3 months and waiting to see how that goes. I've been a part of one of those things, Sia. Doesn't turn out well.
You had a commissioner not pay out the league?
We had a commissioner who had a bad drug problem that we didn't
Oh.
realize.
Still, that's like one thing that is sacred. You do not mess with
Listen.
fantasy football.
When you're spending the fantasy football money on crack, it's the least of their concerns at that point.
I hear those. I hear that's.
And then we
pretty
had to pay
addictive.
more money to get the guy into rehab. He's fine
Gosh.
now, and he has paid us back years later.
Well, there's always a silver lining to a story, but yeah, that's pretty brutal. I'm the commissioner of 2 out of 3 leagues bigger leagues that I'm in, and I want out on commissioner so bad because I just don't need more responsibility, collecting money, debating
Honestly,
rules.
use League Safe. You send them a link. They send the money to League Safe. It keeps your money safe for the year.
All right, League
So you
Safe.
just like press a button. It pays people out.
See, this was an impromptu ad, basically.
Yeah.
LeagueSafe.com.
And
I
now
assume
you
it's
can have a
.com.
real, and now you can watch some real ads. Fantasy football season is back with a vengeance. You can get yourself the best tools possible this year, be it for season long, DFS, or betting, whatever it is you need, you can get it at 4for4.com/Mayo. The most accurate projections and rankings in the business, 4 different levels. Code Mayo will get you 25% off everything, and you can upgrade just the classic season long, $39 a season. You can go monthly. That's going to cost you double. You should just buy it for the season. And then you get down to the betting package, $249 per season minus 25%. For Code Mayo, you get the props, the sides, the total bets, the tackle props, the player prop tool, the betting Discord, the articles, and everything else included in every other package. Get on it now so you can win your league. 4for4.com/Mayo. Look, I don't bounce back exactly the way that I used to when I was 20 years old. If I'm going out drinking, even just having a few glasses of wine, I wake up in the morning, got a scorching headache. It doesn't really work out well for the plans that I need to have starting at 6 a.m. every day when the kids want to get up, go outside, go to the playground, ride a bike, whatever it might be. I need to be there to do that with them. And it used to be I can either have a great night or just have a struggle the next day. That is until I found pre-alcohol. The Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle the rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for the rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel the best tomorrow. The kids are actually away this weekend, so I actually had a few glasses of wine before recording the research show that I had to wake up super early for to do in the morning. And trust me, you don't want to have a real bad hangover with lights in your face and you're trying to sound energetic. Woke up this morning and felt awesome. Was able to record the show as early as possible. Then I went for a run afterwards, came back and recorded this ad. The final days of summer are here for you to enjoy. Whether you're heading to the beach, camping in the woods, or squeezing one last vacation road trip, do not forget to bring Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink. Drink a pre-alcohol before drinking and enjoy every day of summer to the fullest. Go to zbiotics.com/PatMayo to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use PatMayo at checkout. Z-Biotics is packed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, head to zbiotics.com/PatMayo and use code PatMayo at checkout for 15% off. One and done picks. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. I only have a few people left. I think I got to use Matty Fitz this week because it's either Fitzpatrick, Ben Griffin, or Aaron Rye, Cameron Young for me. Those are the 4 top guys on the odds boards that I have left.
So you said Griffin, Rye, Cam Young, and who was the other one?
Matt Fitzpatrick. Right?
Fitzpatrick is playing really well. And I do think a lot of people have already, I don't know, you have the numbers in front of you. I would imagine a lot of people have used Fitzpatrick, right?
They've used Fitzpatrick a lot over the last little bit. He was like completely unowned, and then Scottish, British, and even last week at the Wyndham. He's available in 60% of leagues. So I think that he will be somewhat popular, but you have like 30% Xander, 5% Scotty, 23% Tommy, 14% JT, 50% Henley, 18% Ludwig, that I think there are enough people with one of those guys left. And this is a big, like, you can make a substantial move if you get the winner this week, that, anyone who has JT or Xander left, they're going to be using them this week or next week.
Yeah, that's true, but there's not a ton. It doesn't sound like there's a ton that have JT and Xander left. Like, I know you just gave the percentages, but it's not like, I do feel like Fitz is going to be probably based on people having 60% of him, because they're going to save Xander and, for next week or the Tour Championship, right? So
there's no Tour Championship involved.
Oh, so it's this week and next week.
It's just this week and next week. So you only have 2 picks left. So if you have 3 really good players left in the one and done and you're trying to make the money, give your head a shake. This is why you use the good players when you use them. You don't want to be stuck with 5 studs at the end. That makes no sense. So you got to use the people to get the money.
So it's funny because I'm like in the top 50 in the early, out of 1,000 or so, in the early wedge one and done, which is not for a lot of money like yours is. But I don't even know the rules. I assume we're picking somebody for the Tour Championship, but I'm not sure. And I have 3 players left that I want to use. I've actually saved Hovland and Ludwig. And I've got Sam Burns that I want to use this week. So I'm hoping I get to use all 3, but I might be that guy that like has one good guy that's left on the table. I like Fitz, though, to answer your initial question.
That's what I'm going to end up using. I'll end up using Fitz this week, and whoever next week. We'll figure out the field and who's playing, and I'll research the caves next week, right? For the BMW. Of course, I have no knowledge about.
Yes.
Maybe that's better for me. Who knows? Either way, I don't know how the Tour Championship is being structured in terms of payout. Like, what do you get for winning the tournament versus what do you get for the FedEx Cup now that the rules have changed again? Because we got rid of it because they were doing staggered strokes, which they're not doing for the FedEx Cup.
Oh, right.
But it made no sense to try to pick a one and done from that.
That totally makes sense. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense now.
So yeah, these 2 have $20 million in the purse. They're 2 of the bigger tournaments of the year. I think I got corrected. I thought the Open Championship would have been a bigger winner payout than these 2 weeks, but I don't think that they are, weirdly enough.
Yeah, I don't think they are either. And now it's making me reflect. If we're not picking the Tour Championship, I'm not taking Burns. I'm taking Hovland this week, I think. I just want to be right on Burns. I've been saving Burns so I can be right on Burns when nobody else is going to take him. Could be this week, but
if it was between you, I would use Burns this week and Victor next week. Like, Burns has been really good at this course over the years.
And then Ludwig would not have a home if the Tour Championship is not involved. But that's fine. That's my blunder. But I don't know. Maybe we might be doing the Tour Championship. I don't know.
All right, let's do some Underdog very quickly. Code Mayo at Underdog right now. There's not a lot out in terms of like individual round props. Maybe we can just do some starting like positions or whatever. How about Xander top 10?
So he wouldn't be, I think that's fine. But in terms of like top 10, like guys like Henley and Fleetwood are guys that I think are real solid in that department. I think Fitzpatrick could be an interesting one. I think Xander's fine.
Xander 1.16.
Yeah.
Go with that. How about Sam Burns top 20?
I like that.
And we can do one more. Play a 3-banger here. They're not even giving us the good. How about Jason Day? Worse than 20th place.
Jason Day's been pretty bad. I actually looked at him in the top Oceania market and I couldn't get there. I'm fine with worse than 20th.
All right, we'll do that. We'll go lower than or higher than 20th place for Jason Day, lower than 20th place for Sam Burns, and better than 10th place, or better than 11th place, I suppose, for Xander Schauffele, because it's 10.5. Go $100 on that, pays $573, and boom.
Nice.
We'll chuck that one in. Code Mayo at Underdog, by the way, and then you get yourself a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. Let's jump over to DraftKings. And all right, this is a lineup that I threw in, Sia, from what we were talking about a little bit before. You don't want to use Ryan Gerard, but I had Scheffler, Berger, Bobby Max, Spawn, Gerard, and Glover.
I like it. I mean, listen, I'm not going to play. I don't think I'm going to play Berger, and I don't think I'm going to play Gerard, but I can't. I might not even play Glover, but I can't argue with this lineup. I think this is a good lineup.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what the chalkier lineup is going to be and start from there. Mm-hmm. I just think it has to involve Scheffler, right? Even though he's so expensive.
I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, you can make, again, it's a no-cut event. So people are going to be willing to go down and pick up a couple of 6K guys if they have to for a Scheffler lineup. So he's going to get squeezed into close to half the lineups, I'm assuming.
So I'm trying to figure out how this looks. So Scheffler, I'm seeing Scheffler, then Schauffele, and Hovland as like the three, like Scheffler by a bunch, then Xander and Hovland. Those two will probably go together. So we could try that as well. That instead of Scheffler, Xander, Hovland is probably a very common start.
I also think it's possible that, because I don't think people think there's a huge difference between some of the 9K guys and Xander Schauffele. Again, that's just what I think the perception is. I think there's going to be some lineups that start out with 3 9K guys, like Hovland, Fitz, and Fleet, and that's going to leave you about 7K flat.
Yeah, so it all kind of gets you into the same range. I think that the majority of lineups will either start with Scotty or Xander. I think that'll be well over 50% of lineups.
Yes, one of those two, 100%. Yeah.
And like probably like 35 to 40% for Scotty, just when people get down to it. So the other guys that I'm seeing from down below that are popping up, it seems like people are really on Grillo from the bottom end and Nico Echeverria.
Yeah. I mean, Nico was really good last week, until Sunday, of course. I think those two make sense. I think there's other guys in the 6K range that will pick up a little bit of ownership. I mean, you mentioned Gerard. Sam Stevens is interesting, although I guess people won't really probably go there. Yeah, it's probably Grillo. I don't think people are intrigued by Ryan Fox anymore, although I think he's an interesting option. I also think Bridgman's an interesting option. But if we're trying to build a chalky lineup, agree with you on Grillo for sure.
Yeah, and Nick Taylor is the other one.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that Nick Taylor, I mean, I wanted to bet Nick Taylor this week. I just didn't really love the odds. Maybe they'll fall a little bit, but I would probably use Rose over Nick Taylor, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not going to use either of them, but I tend to agree with you. I'd probably use Rose over Nick Taylor as well.
So these seem to be the two chalky 6K guys, chalky-ish, probably like double digits, I'm guessing, for Grillo and Taylor. So let's actually take those two out and use Scheffler in this now. So now we have 7,800 for 3 spots. So you could load this up with that range that everyone seems to be going to in the upper sevens, because that's where a lot of this falls. You could go like Spawn, Lowry, Kirk, something like that. If we put in Kirk and Spawn, let's see what that does for us and see what we're left with. Kirk, Spawn, and now we have 8,600. Who's 8,600? Keegan Connors English.
English and Rye might pick up some ownership. We see Cam Young down there. What I would do here is like, and you can fill this out, but I don't know how popular Spawn is going to be, only because you can go up 300 to get, or 400 to get one of Griffin or Young or Goddard. So I feel like in terms of building a chalky lineup where you're getting 4 rounds, I feel like Goddard's going to be jammed. Like somebody in that one of those 3 is going to get jammed in, and then you're still going to have plenty of money left.
Yeah, I would guess that if people are going to do something like that, they just lose Spawn and just try to find the money to get up to one of the guys that everyone really wants to play, like Hovland. Then you're back down to 7,000. You got like Glover or whoever.
I think that's a great lineup, but I also think, if you ditched one of, I guess you'd have to get rid of Hovland here, but like, and you could probably ditch one of the 6K guys and still jam in two of the 8K guys that I mentioned in that low 8K range.
So if you get rid of Hovland and
like Kirk, for example.
Yeah, you could go English and Griffin, I think.
Well, you've got 8,250 left. So you could literally go Goddard up Griffin too, or Cam Young, any of those 3 that I mentioned.
Yeah, the 2v2 of Hovland and Kirk is exactly English Griffin.
Right.
And both those guys do project out well, and it looks like they're going to be owned.
Right. And for the record, English is more expensive than Cam Young and Goddard if you wanted to put those in instead of him.
Do you like Cam Young and Goddard?
I like them both because of their upside. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Goddard. I don't know if he's going to continue what he's been doing. I think Cam Young is an interesting test case, though, because his history here is bad. But if you just like look a little bit deeper, 2022, he led the field tee to green. He lost 5.5 strokes with the putter. And again, that's 3 years ago and, whatever. But like the putter is just super smooth for him right now. And we've seen evidence of him leading the field here, tee to green. I just think, and by the way, that same year, again, 2022, he led ball striking by like a mile. He gained 9 strokes ball striking. The next best was Brian Harmon that year with 5.81. So I think there's evidence. Like people will look at Cam Young's history and they'll be like, I don't think so. But I think there's evidence that he can dominate this course, especially if the putter comes around. So I think he's a really interesting play.
Could you imagine starting your team with Henley?
No, it's not for me. No, but I mean, I understand why people like Henley. I mean, he's been just inside the top 10 constantly, and the metrics make sense. But no, I wouldn't start my team there.
You can do something like this if you like Cam Young. You go Hovland, Ludwig as your 2 big guys, which I like enough. I mean, I like Aberg to win. You like Hovland to win. Why not pair them up? They seem lower in this field than they probably should, considering that Henley is $700 more expensive than Hovland.
Right.
But then you can get Cam Young and Harris English from the 82s. Then you can get Robert McIntyre for 77. And then whoever you want from 6,900 and down. I picked Justin Rose just because I thought that was a decent spot for him. You could also go to, like, you can get rid of Rose and get rid of English. Like, I really like Corey Connors. Maybe DraftKings is the best way to deploy him. And then you're down to 68 and just, pick your poison.
Connors
I prefer Ryan Gerard, but
yeah. I mean, the one thing I'll say about
Michael Kim.
Michael Kim, your guy. Connors hasn't been good here. I think that would be part of my pushback.
Well, I mean, what's good here for Corey Connors? Because he's only $8,400.
From what I remember seeing, and I'm taking a second look at it now, like the finishing positions are actually pretty good.
He was 6th here 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's
and the
fair.
thing that's plagued him the most at this tournament has been his iron play, which is really, really bizarre considering he's one of the best iron players on earth.
Yeah, that's fair. And I don't think he's going to get a ton of attention. So, in this range, I think the 8K range is largely going to be pretty flat, although I do think there's going to be some ownership collecting with Griffin and Goddard. But I think you're going to get, from an ownership standpoint, and English maybe too, but from an ownership standpoint, I think Connors is going to be pretty low owned.
Yeah, I think you're going to see Hideki and Burns at the top, and then you're going to see Griffin. I'm actually showing not a ton on Cam Young at all.
I'm not surprised. Like, I like Cam Young as a play for DFS in particular, although I actually think he has some outright upside. I'm not gonna play him there. I think Griffin and Goddard are going to get the attention, but I think Cam Young is, again, he's playing pretty. He has good tournaments and bad tournaments, but he's playing pretty well lately. There's a reason why people had him on their outright card last week, and he's shown evidence that he can play well here, even though the finishing positions aren't there.
Guys in the 8th that I'm going to guess that no one is using, Keegan Bradley would be my guess as lowest owned guy in the 8Ks.
Yeah, I think Corey Connors and Keegan. Yeah, probably Keegan. You're right.
Remember,
I agree.
People always play Corey Connors, just like the same way that everyone always ends up playing Fleetwood.
I agree with you. I do think it's going to be pretty flat in this range, though. Well, outside of the few that we mentioned, like Sam Burns, you're probably right. I wonder how much ownership Hideki's going to get. I do like his upside, but
Dude can't drive the ball, man. I hit him.
Yeah.
He might be the last outright winner I ever hit at this tournament last year, but his driving has been so bad over the past 3 months that it's limiting what he can do in terms of defending.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not playing him personally, but I get the upside argument there.
All right, well, let's start messing around now. We tried to build some chalkier plays and how some of that stuff would look out. How would you actually, if we're building like a 3-max or a single entry team right now, how would you actually like to start this? Would you just say, hey, you need to have Scheffler and figure it out from there?
Yeah, kind of. So I'm building two different sets of line. Let's say I'm building 6 lineups, for example. 3 of them, I'm just going to be at the field on Scotty. And I'm going to build the other 3 starting in the 9K range, probably with some combination of Fleetwood and Hovland. But yeah, I think the way he's priced and the way you can dip down to the 6K range, Scotty makes a ton of sense to play.
So build me a lineup here. We got Scheffler in, $7,400 left. How do you like to manage this? And maybe we can tweak it to cut some ownership out somewhere, get a little bit different.
So I want to go with Fleetwood. However, I think I want the savings of Hovland. So we're going to go Scotty, Hovland. Now we're going to let's dip all the way down to the 6K range. I'm going to take a chance on Jacob Bridgman. I think he can get hot with the putter. I liked how many fairways he hit. Like, he could go completely sideways. So maybe you want to choose a different guy like Emiliano Grillo. If you want to make it a little bit more reasonable, we could go with Grillo there as opposed to Jacob Bridgman. But
well, here's the thing. Here would be my case for Potgieter at this price.
Okay.
Ready for it? Or even
Yeah.
Johnny Vegas potentially for this price. No one's getting cut. So it's all about birdies at this point.
Yeah.
And those dudes make birdies because of their distance.
That's true. Bridgman, though, from a putting standpoint, can absolutely fill it up. But I don't disagree.
Agreed. But the two par fives here, you can eagle. Like, I think it's like 2.4%, like 4.5%. So that extra distance, granted, don't be in the water. You got to be in somewhere that's dry on dry land to get it there in two. But when I'm taking a look at these guys at the bottom, those were the two that stuck out to me. It's like, oh, they could finish 14th and come 6th in DraftKings scoring.
You're not wrong. Yeah, I mean, again, any of these 6K guys could go sideways. So, I mean, if you're just evaluating it from an upside standpoint, I don't mind. And I don't mind Ryan Fox either, by the way. Again, it can go sideways. There was a time earlier this year where Ryan Fox was actually driving it pretty accurately. And I think that's kind of gone away a little bit.
So I wrote this up about Ryan Fox, I want to say like a year ago or something like that, is that he's one of the streakiest players in the world. Yeah. And we're good. And he's in a downtime right now. So let's just kind of take a look here at his official world golf ranking. So miscut, 65th. Those are his past 3 starts. Before that, he didn't really kind of do anything. And then he just comes out of nowhere and he wins at Myrtle Beach. 28th, 20th, win again. 19th, 17th, good run. Then it kind of goes away. So let's kind of try to see what's happening. So no top 10s basically anywhere the year previous, except for he goes on a little bit of a run after the Masters a year ago. So 4th, 75th, 32nd, 7th, and then he kind of drops back again. It gets even more pronounced once you start going back in time, like some of his DP and world stuff, where if we take a look at, let's say 2023, I think this is the year where he had like the huge hot run and then it was all just curtains for him. Yeah, here it is. So he was kind of like okay for most of the year, like a few top 20s, WD along the way, 43rd, 30th, and he goes 12th, 52nd, miscut, then boom, Irish Open, 3rd, 1st, miscut, 2nd, then it's over again. Like he has these mini pockets and he's done it basically each of the past 6 years that I worry that maybe the run is not over at this point, but I thought it was interesting that he tends to be a very streaky player and maybe that streak is gone now.
Might be, but he certainly has. We've seen it with what you just did. He certainly has upside. So I think
sure.
I think him and Novak, by the way, your guy Novak, I think has some interesting upside here. I think Sam Stevens as well. It would be Bridgman for me, but Aldrich is totally fine. Like I'm down with taking the upside there.
That'll be my swap for this lineup because I think that Scheffler Hovland will be a pretty common start for Scheffler.
Yeah,
that we'll try to do it this way because no one's really using Potgieter. So where do we go from here? We got $7,100 left.
So I think the question here is, do we want to grab another 6K guy like a Grillo, for example, to get us back into that like mid 7K range? Or do we want to live in the bottom 7s? Because we have three spots to fill here. I feel like we have to go with another 6K guy, which is fine. Stars and Scrubs build in a no-cut event certainly makes sense.
We could, or do you like 3 of, like, I like Denny. You could go, I'm just going to throw this up here. You could go Denny. And then, hell, let's use Nick Taylor because he's popular right now. So Nick Taylor and Pendrith, something like that.
Yeah, you could do that.
Or you could, you know what? Potgieter or Bridgman? Why not both?
Yeah, let's play both. And so
now we're in the mid 7s again.
So now we could go, because I wouldn't mind grabbing somebody like, I don't know if I'm pushing it with Griffin, but if you went into the low 7K range here, now you're back in the 8s, the low 8s, where you can grab one of those 3 guys that I mentioned.
Well, who is the guy that you like the most? Let's use them and figure it out.
I think it's, I actually like Cam Young the best, I think.
And then it's Nick Taylor or Justin Rose.
Right. But if we took Griffin, we could get to Akshay or Ricky if you wanted to do that, just kind of, or Glover.
I would prefer Glover over those two.
So let's go Glover and then Griffin.
Griffin.
And we got basically a ball striker's paradise outside of the 6K guys, which we're not sure what we're going to get from them. But we've Scheffler, Hovland, and Griffin all have win equity here. Glover should be, pretty solid. And then we just need the upside from Potgieter and Jacob Bridgman.
All right. So that's one way to build that sort of lineup. Let's try. I want to try one now for a single entry, and I'm going to do it without Scheffler. So I would start with Xander.
Okay.
That's where I would want to go.
Who's your second guy in?
I don't know. Do I just it would generally be like Ludwig or Fleetwood or Victor, one of those guys. But I'm thinking that if I'm going to, because it's a no-cut event, I believe that the want is going to be to play a Stars and Scrubs lineup like we just did.
Right.
But if there's someone comfortable that you can get away with here, you play Xander, and then you pick up like Straka, Connors, McIntyre.
This will be a unique build to some degree because people aren't going to be this balanced.
And it'll be balanced, but with one dud. So
Yeah.
you go like Xander, Straka, Connors, Bobby Max, Spawn, Potgieter. You probably don't have a ton of upside here, but those are very reliable guys and a spike guy at the bottom.
So the only thing I would do different here, because I kind of like how this looks from a build standpoint, is I would actually take out Straka and Connors. I know ball striking paradise, and I would go into the 9K range, and then whatever's left in the 7K range, I'd be totally fine with. So I would go like up to Fleetwood or Hovland, and then I'd have a little bit money left over in the 7K range for my last spot.
I mean, Straka's been better than those guys. And he has a play. And listen, if you want to talk about course history, he does have a playoff loss here to Will Zalatoris.
Yeah, 2022, right? Yeah. Those last two here have not been good. And 3 out of the last 4, he's had pretty bad finishes, including a miscut. So when you talk about guys gassing out, like
he rarely wins twice in 1 year. He's already done that, won a signature event. I would rather go to him at the lower ownership than I don't like Victor all that much anyway. Like he's fine. But
what if you put Fleet there? What would it leave you with?
We can probably finagle this. This is probably the move. We'll throw in Fleetwood. Is it weird that I like Fitz more than Fleetwood?
No, that's not weird at all. Fitz has been unbelievable for 5 tournaments in a row, gaining everywhere.
So what if we just ditch Straka and Connors and we go Fitz and Denny?
That's great.
And then
I think that's great.
We could get to, I know that you don't like Berger, but for the sake of this, let's try this. You can take Spawn up to Berger if you wanted to. And,
yeah, I actually kind of like that. I mean, I like that just as much.
And we'll go Bridgman instead of Potgieter in this one because you like Bridgman.
Okay. And for the record, if people like Grillo or even Nico, it's not gonna. You're not gonna have to like move like you could go from Bridgman to Grillo if you think that's more comfortable for you, and come off Denny and go to that 7,100 range and get Pendrith, or I'm not playing Poston pretty much ever, but decent course fit, I guess. Somebody like Pendrith or Glover or Akshay.
You could go Berger and Bridgman turn into Grillo and Mav very quickly.
Yeah. Mav popped for me a little bit. Not a guy I usually play, but Mav makes sense.
Guy who plays really well at courses with small greens, weirdly enough.
Mm-hmm.
And these are pretty small, 4,300 square feet.
Yeah.
Poston, it's funny, going back and rewatching most of the coverage from the past 3 years, Poston would like pop up every now and then. He just chips in.
Yeah.
He had an unbelievable amount of chip-ins.
Yeah, Poston is just not a guy I feel like so many people are passing him in terms of just from a talent standpoint and from a upside standpoint, and we're just not really seeing it. People aren't recognizing it.
Yeah, and a lot of the pricing is either dictated by the odds or the FedEx Cup standings right now, and so there's just weird prices on some guys this week versus others. Like it feels like there's a lot of really underpriced / overpriced guys. Like I like Jake Knapp and everything, but why is he $7,500 and there's guys like $1,000? He should be like $1,000 less. It feels like.
I agree, and also what's interesting is even in the 9K range. I mean, I'm looking at the 8K. I think that's probably priced properly, but I mean, if you put Hovland where Fleetwood or Henley were, I don't think there would be a huge argument. I understand that Henley's been way more consistent, same with Fleetwood, but Ludwig, Hovland, I think you could make them more expensive, and I think it would be perfectly okay. So I think a lot of people get caught up in like a 6K guy, 8K guy, 9K guy. Like a lot of times this pricing is not as efficient as you think it is. Guys have to get slotted somewhere, and for whatever reason, like you said, whether it's the rankings or the odds or what have you, that's where they are. But doesn't mean that's where they should be. So don't get too stuck in the tiers.
No, we're going to play one more lineup of here's the guys that need to do it right now. Where am I at here? I got to share this screen at some point. All right. I'll figure it out. There we go. Boom. We're there. Thomas.
Interesting.
Morikawa Cantlay as the
Oh,
starter.
let's go. This is so great. It's already unique.
How else do we figure this out? Because we can go Glover,
So
Kirk.
are
Glover,
these
Kirk,
guys?
Spieth fits perfectly.
But are you building a lineup of guys that like need to win for like Ryder Cup reasons or FedEx Cup
Just
ranking?
guys that listen, well, how much is Ricky? Because Ricky would fit into this perfectly.
That's right.
Ricky is 7,000. I mean, I'm crazy to think that if Glover gets a win here, he would be on the Ryder Cup team because he's having a great year that no one has really noticed, but he's probably too old. He does have his major at Bethpage. I think people forget that. But you could do something like this. Thomas Morikawa, Cantlay, Ricky, McNeely, Kirk, but McNeely can be Spieth, which is
Oh my gosh, can he really? This lineup is
no, we need to find $100.
So take out Kirk.
Kirk into just turn him back into Glover.
Justin Rose, maybe?
Yeah, just turn him into Glover.
Okay.
Because the other name that you could throw into this to create the all kind of needs to win to have a pulse here, you put Finau in at $6,500.
Oh wow. Yeah, leave some money on the table. Why not?
Yeah, there we go. Now you're talking. Now you're speaking my language.
This is an epic lineup. It's a no-cut event.
Lineup would have cost $150,000 in salary cap 2 years ago.
That's right. You can't make the argument, like I don't like some of these players, but you can't make the argument that like this lineup is dead.
Yeah.
You can't.
I actually think the Thomas Morikawa Cantlay start is somewhat intriguing because no one's using these guys.
I agree.
So maybe that's just the way that we need to go with it. Maybe that's if you truly want to get unique, there's your start.
Yes.
All right. See ya. What's going on? Rest of the day.
I got the early edge, not so early edge in about 20 minutes. I'm doing some college football stuff, but I'm really focusing a lot on golf, of course, but NFL stuff. And anybody that wants to check out any of my stuff, I flood my Twitter profile with pretty much everything I'm doing. Some fun stuff too, some sitcom stuff, top 5 sitcom characters, Pat, yesterday.
Let's talk it. You said the 5. See, the one thing I don't like about this 5, it was something like I was reading even beforehand, before we came on. I was on like Reddit Golf. No, I was on an Instagram reel. And someone said, if you had to win $1 million, you could either take the choice of trying to drain 100 feet of putts in 1 minute or hit 1,000 yards worth of drives in 1 minute. And that's all it said. And then there are people like legitimately insulting each other in this comment section about the stipulations and the rules when no stipulations or rules were given for this. They're making them up in their head and then getting furious about it when people don't agree with them. This is where I'm at with your sitcom question about who the best character is ever. Like people are reeling off like side characters in shows. Is it the best side character of all time? Because I feel like if you're going to say who's the best sitcom character of all time, they kind of need to be a main character on a show. Like you said, Niles. I love Niles too. He can't be the best character. He's like the best supporting character.
Well, so you're right. The semantics part of this, you're right about. But I would make the argument that in Niles' case, he was not the main character very clearly, but he was so main character adjacent that people could have gone to the show to watch him. It would be the same with Neil Patrick Harris, Barney Stinson on How I Met Your Mother. I think there's an argument that maybe he's secretly kind of one of the main characters or maybe the main character, but it's clearly not him. But you might go to the show because you just want to watch Barney Stinson. You like the other stuff too, but you want to watch Barney Stinson. So I don't think you have to be a main character if you are the main draw or one of the main draws to the show.
Okay, so I'll concede that point because let's just throw out Seinfeld. That anyone who gives you the answer of Kramer as an answer is a moron.
It's a bad answer. There were a few, especially last night. I was saying we've got like almost 130.
If anyone says Kramer is the best character on Seinfeld, they are fucking bad at watching TV.
He's the fourth. He's not like of the main characters. He's fourth. It's not close.
I agree. He is
Jerry's third, by the way.
Jerry's third. Yeah, it's George, Elaine, Jerry, and Kramer. And
right.
Listen, if you want to switch Kramer and Jerry, go for it. But the show is George and Elaine. That's the show.
Yeah, it's the interplay, of course, but without George, I mean, certainly without Elaine too. That show is maybe trash.
Yeah, it would be Friends at that point. No one wants to watch that. Jesus Christ! Imagine watching that shit again.
Oh, Friends. I mean, I think Chandler's naturally. I think he's funny.
Old
Outside of
Chandler
him.
was funny. Like first season, second season, when Chandler stopped smoking cigs, lost him as a character. He lost his edge.
I think Phoebe is one of the worst sitcom characters of all time, by the way.
The show isn't that funny. Like it's okay.
It's
To
okay.
put it on a pantheon of best sitcoms is because it had a lot of viewers is ridiculous. It's just like I said, like Suits is stupid person Mad Men. Modern Family, well, funny is stupid person Arrested Development. It's like Arrested Development if you can be on your phone at the same time.
The acting in Modern Family, we went over this on the. I think the acting and just the subtlety of some of the acting in Modern Family is pretty brilliant.
It's like you didn't watch Arrested Development.
Well,
like,
that's true.
They looked at Arrested Development. They're like, this show is too hard for people to understand. Let's make it dumber.
I mean, Arrested Development was finally getting some praise in this thread, which I'm going to pin to my profile because I want people to continue to respond to it. So if if you have no idea what we're talking about, go to Sia Nejad. It's pinned to my profile. We've got almost 150 responses at this point. But do you have a top 5 sitcom characters of all time?
I don't think so. Like, are people mentioning cartoons? Like, is Homer not up there?
Homer was mentioned a couple of times. Cartman was mentioned at least once. Brian Griffin, my guy, was mentioned for sure.
To rank Brian Griffin over Cartman would be like insanity. You need to be locked up.
I like Brian Griffin over.
That's
over
fine.
Cartman.
Like him all you want, but like we're ranking the best, right? Not like guys that you like.
So stop weaseling out of the question. Who's your? Do you have a top 5 off the top of your head that I'm not going to hold you to, but like what just jumps into your mind?
George. This is where I get into my problem. I want to say Joe, but I know that's not one of the answers. Also not a main character, so I can't list him.
Wait, Joe from American Dad?
No, Joe Bluth.
Oh, okay, my bad. Sorry. You can list non-main characters.
See, I don't like that.
Okay.
I will throw Frasier Crane into this.
Yeah, that's solid.
So George and Frasier. So there's my 90s covered.
You got
I'll throw Homer.
Got to go an Arrested Development person.
No, there's no main character on it. Joe Bluth would be the
Yeah.
answer to that, or Lucille Bluth, one of the two. But it's an ensemble show. There's
it is.
It's their interaction between them that makes the show great.
Yeah.
Those are the 4. I have to think about the 5th one.
Parks and Rec, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I know those.
I will say
That's an ensemble show too.
If you go with Jonah Ryan, I'll just say Selena Meyer. Because not enough people watch Veep, and that's on them for being morons.
Yeah, that's the one show. That's one of 2 shows I didn't include in the sitcom bracket.
In the sitcom bracket, you are too nice to watch Veep, Sia. You're too nice of a guy. For anyone who is deranged and like the darkest of dark humor, that is a show for you.
I think I will actually like Veep. I need to go back and watch it. It's just it's on me for not that and New Girl. I got a lot of flack.
I actually just finished New Girl with my wife.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought you would say that.
It's like fine. How I Met Your Mother or all those shows. They're like very average to above average.
Okay, how dare you? How I Met Your Mother is solid.
Yeah, solid doesn't mean great, man.
It's a 7. Okay, what's better, How I Met Your Mother or Community?
Community's way better.
That's true. Okay, good.
Community's legitimately funny.
Yeah,
it's up and down, but there's a difference between generic brand humor and alternative humor. Now, if you like generic brand humor, that's for you. That's How I Met Your Mother. That's Friends, and they're the best version of that type of show. Big Bang Theory is probably on that list too. Is just rudimentary setup, punchline, laugh track, boom, keep moving on.
The 2.5 Men model.
Weirdo, like Seinfeld became so mainstream, but you forget how weirdo it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
So like that's kind of the bridging point. You start with Friends and you start with Seinfeld and work off and I'm not talking about any of like Taxi or All in the Family or anything like that from the mid 80s, early 80s. I mean, I guess Cheers would probably be above Seinfeld on that end of the tree, but sitcoms tend to go one of 2 ways, the Friends route or the Seinfeld route.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's where I would land on. And Community is more of that, like some episodes don't necessarily hit, but there's enough in there that even the non like joke per second episodes, like 30 Rock should be like, people don't discuss 30 Rock enough anymore. It falls in that weird time period where it was on like slightly same time as The Office, slightly after The Office, but yeah. Bang for your buck, 30 Rock's funnier than The Office.
I didn't give enough attention to 30 Rock, to Parks and Rec. I've seen them. I know they're funny. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Like I didn't give enough. At that point in time, I was just watching sports and The Challenge. And that was pretty much it.
Are you still watching The Challenge?
I am.
So you've watched episode 0 and episode 1?
That's right. Well, I thought it was 1 and 2, but fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm kind of in on these new threats. They look good.
Most of the new, yeah, I mean, they're solid. I like I'm always interested in the personality profiles and obviously the competition factor too. But yeah, I think it's going to be good. There's just enough vets for me to be interested. If it was like all new people, I don't know that I'd even be watching.
That would be tough. But I like the vets that they brought back. I feel like it's the right combination. They got rid of a lot of the same people. Like when you have like Devin and Michelle, who are obviously together, but like Tori, like that whole and they've been on too many. The old challenge, people didn't do 4 seasons in a row.
Devin's a good watch, though. They could have brought. They could bring Devin back every time.
Much.
Yeah, but that's part of the reason he's good to watch. What I don't understand is why Nia keeps getting picked to come back.
Well, someone needs to be bad.
Well, that's Anissa's job. Yeah. Nia just doesn't even want to compete. At least Anissa wants to compete.
I mean,
why are we doing this?
It's because you have old Nia, where you're just like, man, if she just shows up, she's going to. There's a reason you get called Hurricane Nia, and you're a crazy person. She's not a crazy person anymore. She grew up. But getting like young people back on the show is great. I don't need to watch a whole bunch of people my age being like, man, I can't go out drinking tonight, or else I'll be too hungover to do the challenge tomorrow. We need a bunch of 21-year-olds like fighting, drinking, and hooking up and being good at the challenge. That's what we need.
This is a cool mix, though, because you certainly have the veterans who are older, and it's like, can the young guns who are clearly more athletic, are they going to just like pick off these people, which I seriously doubt is going to happen because of the lack of political game, but it'll be interesting to see how that works.
Yeah, well, I mean, a few of the Survivor and Big Brother people seem pretty competent.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that one dude that won the first challenge, the guy looks, I mean, all of them are good, but he looks like he's just a machine.
Yeah, Jeremy?
Is that what his name is? The long hair?
He
looks like Superman.
He looks so weird when they like whatever filter they're using on the confessionals makes everyone look insane.
He looks like he's airbrushed.
Yeah,
that's a compliment to him.
In the confessional, like whatever like setup that they have in the lighting, everyone looks airbrushed.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, well, you got to go do the early edge, so I should probably let you go.
Fair enough. That's funny. Like if we talked sitcoms in the challenge, we could do an hour, and I would just tell them, "Hey, I was busy doing something very urgent." But yeah,
well, let's curb that, and we'll come back to it at a later time.
That sounds good. I'm always down to talk challenge, sitcoms, NFL, golf. That's pretty much all I talk about.
I mean, this is why you and I are friends, Sia.
That's right. That's right. All right, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Reminder to everyone to follow Sia at Sia Nejad and check him out over on CBS. The very early edge, the early edge, the early wedge, the early sandwich. He's on all of them.
Yeah.
Doing it live.
Early anything is pretty much me. Sportsline YouTube channels where you can catch a lot of the stuff too.
There it is. You can follow me at the PME. I'm going to be at the course at Southwind. I'll be doing a show with Rick and crew Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday after the rounds and obviously the pre-show tournament. We're doing a meetup on Friday night. In the description, in the comment section, hit me up with your favorite 6K play this week. Smash the like on your way out, and I will see you next time.
Mayo experience.